Hello again. I'm Malcolm Stewart, the lucky guy who gets to be your guide on these moments of discovery. I grant you it's not quite like guiding Sir Edmund Hillary to the peak of Everest, but believe me, there's a rush all the same. Beautiful British Columbia magazine has been publishing its portraits of the province since 1959, and the Knowledge Network has been producing BC Moments since 1984. Now, over the years, their photographers and film crews have traveled thousands of kilometers and captured footage that would reach almost as far. Not surprisingly, these picture pros have their own favorite moments of discovery, and that's what we'll watch for now. The best of beautiful BC, chosen by the men and women who shot the pictures. First, a montage of British Columbia landscape, from the concrete canyons of Vancouver to the rock canyons of the Hoodoos, from leaping salmon going upriver and whitewater rafters going down, to pioneer churches and a Chilcotin ranch roundup. This is beautiful British Columbia. Our British Columbia landscape, ending with sunset over Lionsgate Bridge, the link between Vancouver and its North Shore, built by the Guinness Brewing family in 1939, in time for the Canadian tour of King George VI and Queen Elizabeth. You know, sunsets are stunning in British Columbia, and so is fog. The fog comes in on little cat feet, wrote Carl Sandburg. It sits looking over the harbor and the city on silent haunches and then moves on. In British Columbia, the most intense pea supers roll in over the west coast of Vancouver Island at Chilcotin and Barkley Sounds. On this rugged coast, the fog comes in the late afternoon, spends the night, and vanishes by mid-morning. West Coast fog. If you're out in it, I hope your craft is radar equipped. One of the best known travelers along the West Coast was Jack Apsouris, better known as Blackie. Blackie was a journeyman pilot, one of those frontier airmen who risk their lives every time they go up. His route was the Sunshine Coast, the western edge of BC's lower mainland, a string of fishing and logging communities between Gibsons and Powell River.
Autumn morning on British Columbia's Sunshine Coast. A vintage single-engine floatplane slowly drops out of the sky and gracefully touches down. At this isolated logging camp on Jervis Inlet, an exhausted log scaler is finishing a 2-week shift in the bush. Her ride home today is with a pilot named Jack Apsouris, or Blackie, as most people call him. And Blackie has been taking people to and from work on this coast for some 40 years.
I got into my first airplane in 1954 with no intention of following this as a career. Wanted to have a private pilot's license. I got my private license on wheels. Went for a ride in a seaplane, decided that I wanted a float endorsement, and the only way I could get a float endorsement was to go to work for a charter company as a dock boy. Once I started flying floats, then I didn't want to quit. Started out with BC Airlines, went to work with a cousin of mine. We started an airline in Pitt Meadows. From there I went to Campbell River, to Nanaimo, to Port Hardy, to the Queen Charlotte's. Did a number of years of contract flying where I was all over the coast, from one end to the other. And worked in sea shelter for the past 22 years.
His plane is a de Havilland Beaver. Known as the workhorse of the charter business, these planes are a common sight along the British Columbia coast. This one is lovingly called Blossom.
This old girl is a 1948 de Havilland Beaver. She was originally owned by Mobil Oil, and she was working for them from 48 until 1976. In that period of time that Mobil owned her, she did a 1.5-year stretch in Saudi Arabia for them. A fellow bought her and took her to Kamloops, and she stayed in Kamloops until 88. And I flew her out from Kamloops to the coast in 88, and we've had her out here ever since. She's number 94 out of almost 1,700 beavers that de Havilland built. The last one being built in 1967. To get anything comparable today, you're looking at over $1 million for the closest thing. And then, even then, it doesn't perform like this does.
Based in Sechelt, Blackie carries passengers and freight from Vancouver to points north, serving many small communities along this picturesque coastline. Next stop is Saltery Bay to pick up BC Parks Ranger Lucy Stefanyk. Lucy is on her way to work in Princess Louisa Inlet Marine Park, near the top of Gitsi'is Inlet.
I've been flying with him for the last 4 summers that I've been up here, and he's a very safe, competent, and a lot of fun. He's a fun pilot, and we have some good times together, zipping around. If I'm not in a hurry to get to work, we'll take a little tour above the peaks to check things out.
Considered by boaters to be one of the premier destinations on the British Columbia coast, Princess Louisa Inlet is a popular yet isolated place, and Blackie is a regular visitor.
There's been times when I phoned Blackie in regards to someone with an engine problem or someone who needs a specific engine part, and Blackie will obtain the part in Sechelt and fly it in specifically for someone or drop it off on a scheduled flight. When I'm on a long shift, he'll come by for coffee and drop me off. Once I got strawberry shortcake sent up to me, so he delivered that for me, and he's just readily available, and he's very reliable.
At the mouth of Princess Louisa Inlet, the Christian youth camp Malibu Club is busy during the summer, hosting up to 325 children per week. To the Malibu Club, Blackie is more than a means of transportation. He's one of the family.
Blackie, I think he comes to entertain the kids because he flies around, and many of these kids have not seen float planes before. They enjoy just seeing him fly about, and the sound and the drama of the loud small plane rushing by at relatively low level. They seem to enjoy it greatly, as do the rest of us.
There are many isolated areas in British Columbia, and many bush pilots who prefer smaller communities and who rely on their instincts and their flying skills to make a living.
There's there's a certain thing about flying float planes, to me at least, that every trip you do is, no matter whether you go up and down the inlet 10 times in succession, every trip you do up there is a little bit different. There's the challenge of landing in different conditions, whether it be wind or tide or whatever. And it just makes life very interesting. And doing this for as long as I have, I still haven't got tired of doing it.
And for those who live and work along British Columbia's long, rugged coastline, pilots like Blackie Apsouris are a lifeline to the outside world. They deliver food and supplies, take people to work, and bring new babies home from the hospital. They're there when people need them. And they're good friends.
I think if you ask anyone in Gitsi'is Inlet in this immediate local area, they will all know Blackie. As a pilot, he'll pick you up, even if he's got a full schedule, he'll go way out of his way to make arrangements to help anyone out.
We enjoy his company, so when he can fit it in, or if he's got a layover where he's going to wait for an hour or so to do the next part of his scheduled service, we encourage him to spend the time with us.
Blackie and Blossom, Jack Apsouris and his de Havilland Beaver, part of the era of bush and coastal aviation, people who, in Hemingway's phrase, lived their lives straight up. Well, now it's off to the Kootenays and Nelson, one of the most charming cities in British Columbia. Steve Martin's film Roxanne was shot there. So was Bill Forsyth's Housekeeping. And when the films opened in New York, Nelson itself got rave reviews. Well, you know what? We also give Nelson 2 enthusiastic thumbs up. Nelson, called the Queen City of the Kootenays. From this old silver mine capital, we moved to the Khutzeymateen Valley, the first grizzly bear sanctuary in Canada. Some 50 of these solitude-loving creatures roam this region north of Prince Rupert. Visits to this valley are discouraged, but our camera crews had a look, and because they did, so can you.
In the language of the Tsimshian people, the name Gitsi'is means the people of the seal traps. In the old days, the Gitsi'is people came here to fish and to hunt. When the tide ebbed, they would catch salmon and trap seals in the rivers. They have used this place for many years. Grizzly bears come here to rub their coarse fur against this ancient tree to let other bears know that they are here. The trail leading up to it is well worn. It is said that when the grizzlies approach the rub tree, they always step in the same footprints. Close to the tree, the paw marks are 2 inches deep. They too have used this place for many years. Yaganatt is an hereditary Gitsi'is chief. The Khutzeymateen Valley is part of his territory, and for him, this place and the animals who live here are very special.
The bears, especially the grizzly, had religious symbols to us. They were the resting place of the souls of the people that died before us. And they'd also, the souls of the people would come back through the grizzlies in reincarnation to a younger generation. It was kind of a resting place for the soul. So this place had significance. It's where you come to get your food in the early days before the invention of the gill net. You'd have to come into the creeks to get fish to put up for the winter, to see you through the winter. It was also a place of retreat that the older people liked, and the peacefulness of the valley itself gave you a feeling of being at one with your Creator.
Just north of Prince Rupert, the Khutzeymateen Valley is the first grizzly sanctuary in Canada. 443 square kilometers, it is home to approximately 50 bears. Established as a provincial park in 1994, it is jointly managed by BC Parks and the Gitsi'is people.
We have Gitsi'is rangers, native rangers, working in the Khutzeymateen, and it's appropriate that at least one of the rangers is a future hereditary chief for this area. So there's a lot of dedication and interest. More important, it's co-managed by the Gitsi'is and directly managed by rangers that are Gitsi'is. The bears are the most important part of this management, and it's different than most parks that we manage. The effect of people on bears is unknown, but we want to discourage a lot of use. So while we are allowing some limited viewing through commercial operators right now, and the odd person that's willing to take the long trip from Prince Rupert into the Khutzeymateen, we are actively discouraging use in the area for the sake of the bears. I have visited the area a few times, and not many, because I personally believe that visits by anybody is sacrificing what we're trying to protect. And there's a spiritual feeling here. To me, this area has all of the attributes of true wilderness, and that means go lightly on the land, leave the bears alone.
I'd like to see the valley stay as it is now, few people coming in that are really interested in the protection of the bears and just viewing them. Besides being the holder of souls, they have intelligence of their own. And this is their country. It's not our country. It belongs to them. We only have stewardship of the land. Future generations may have different ideas, but this is the way I like to say it.
Grizzly country, Khutzeymateen Valley north of Prince Rupert. I must tell you that BC Parks discourages travel to Khutzeymateen, unless of course you're a bear. British Columbia's Chilcotin may be one of the last western frontiers. You know, there are still roundups here, still ranchers riding out into the rain to cut little dogies, still the hiss and smoke of irons burning brands into cowhide. The Chilcotin Ranch in British Columbia's Chilcotin country. To find out more about life in the Chilcotin, you might want to look for Paul St. Pierre's books like Breaking Smith's Quarter Horse. The railroad has been a central part of Canada's life. It was those steel rails and wooden ties that completed Confederation, crossing the continent, drawing the country together from the Atlantic to the Pacific. And in places like southern Vancouver Island, there are small local lines that have become part of the country's heritage. The E&N, for example, which chugged out of Victoria for the first time in the 1880s. Did you hold your breath going over that bridge? Did you shiver when you heard that whistle? Did you think, maybe it's time to take a train trip again? Well, I thought so too. British Columbia is a province of people who work hard and play hard. Here, you'll see British Columbians in all sorts of activities and situations. Out in the woods, out at the track, in hot springs, and in hot air balloons. I ask you, is there a better place to live? Well, British Columbians don't think so, but wherever you live, I'm pleased that you're sharing these moments of discovery with us. This series of portraits of the places and people of Canada's Pacific Rim province is presented by the Knowledge Network and beautiful British Columbia magazine. I'm Malcolm Stewart, and thanks for joining us. Let's do it again.